Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're diving headfirst into something really, really essential:
Mm-hmm.
building a truly powerful mindset. It's key for unlocking potential, achieving, well, anything meaningful, really.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And our source material for this deep dive, it's from excerpts of a really compelling conversation
Yeah.
with a mindset coach,
Yeah.
someone with, extensive experience helping people shift their internal world.
To change their external results.
Exactly.
So, our mission today is pretty clear, right? We're going to try and unpack what a powerful mindset actually is.
Get to the core of it.
Yeah, dig into its critical components and, importantly, pull out the most practical, maybe surprising, actionable nuggets from this
For
source
you, the listener.
for you about how you can start cultivating that power, like right now. Even if you feel kind of stuck, maybe, or like you're working against yourself.
And look, this is going beyond just the basics. We're exploring why this coach believes mindset isn't just a factor.
But the foundation.
The foundational element, yeah.
Yeah.
And how these small intentional shifts can actually create massive momentum.
Okay, let's get into it then. So, the first thing this coach really hammers home is their definition. What is a powerful mindset?
Right. And it's not just, thinking positive thoughts all the time.
Yeah.
It's described as this: unwavering belief. A belief that you have the agency, the ability to, well, create your own reality.
And what's really striking there is the insistence that the belief has to come first,
Yes.
before the strategy, before the external circumstances change.
Exactly. The coach argues that if you fundamentally believe you're capable, that you deserve success, you'll figure out the strategy.
You'll find a way.
You'll acquire the skills, you'll navigate the challenges, but without that core belief,
Yeah.
even the best strategy, it often just falls flat.
That really resonates, doesn't it? You think about people who objectively seem to have all the advantages.
Resources, connections.
The talent, yeah. But their internal story, their narrative is full of doubt or scarcity, and
Yeah.
they can't seem to move forward effectively.
Exactly right. That internal narrative, which is shaped by your mindset, acts like a filter.
A filter for everything.
Everything you experience, everything you attempt. So if it's rooted in fear or inadequacy or maybe comparing yourself to others,
Uh-huh.
you subconsciously start looking for and even creating evidence to back up those beliefs, regardless of what's actually happening outside.
It becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Totally.
Okay, so if this internal state is so critical, how does the coach suggest we actually, build it, this powerful mindset?
Right. Well, they break it down into what they see as 5 key components, sort of non-negotiables.
5 components. Okay, what's the first one?
The first is clarity of vision.
Hmm.
And the emphasis here is that it's not enough to just want success. Vague goals don't work.
Right, too fuzzy.
You need a crystal clear, deeply personal definition of what success means to you. What does it actually look like, feel like? Who are you being when you achieve it?
That makes sense, because without that personal compass, you're just drifting. You don't know where you're really trying to go,
Precisely. And that clarity then leads naturally into the second component.
which is growth mindset.
Yeah. And this isn't just about being curious intellectually. It's an active commitment
A commitment to seeing challenges, setbacks.
as opportunities.
Mhm.
Opportunities to learn, to evolve. The coach frames it as understanding that your abilities aren't fixed things.
You can develop them.
Through dedication, through hard work. It's about actively embracing the process, not just chasing the immediate win.
Okay, clarity, growth mindset. What's next?
Then there's emotional discipline. And the coach is very direct on this one.
Oh.
You have to learn to lead your emotions or they will absolutely lead you.
Okay, but that doesn't mean suppressing them, right? Like pretending you don't feel things.
No, not at all. It's not repression. It's about developing the awareness and the tools
Yeah.
to choose your response, especially when things get uncomfortable or scary or frustrating.
Emotional regulation.
That's the key. Regulation, not denial.
Got it. And building on that.
They emphasize consistency. Their take is pretty straightforward. Big success rarely comes from one giant leap.
It's the small steps repeated.
It's the compound effect of small, deliberate actions taken consistently, day after day, over time. That's what builds real momentum and reinforces that belief in your own capability.
The daily practice.
The daily practice. And finally, number 5 is gratitude and positivity.
Okay, and this isn't just ignoring the bad stuff, like toxic positivity.
Definitely not. The coach describes it as the ability to find perspective, to find genuine appreciation, even when things are challenging.
So it's about actively looking for the meaning, the learning in all experience.
Exactly. It fosters a kind of resilience that keeps you moving forward.
That point about finding meaning, even in the tough times, that really connects to how we deal with failure, doesn't it? Which is another area the source dives into.
Yes, and this is where the coach offers a really powerful reframe.
Mhm.
We're often taught, conditioned to see failure as like the end, personal failure.
An indictment of who we are.
Right. But they insist that failure is simply feedback. It's just data.
Data, I like that. Data that tells you what didn't work that time.
hmm
It's like that classic inventor mindset, isn't it? Edison wasn't failing to make a light bulb.
He was learning thousands of ways it wouldn't work.
Exactly.
And the coach highlights that. The most successful people, they're not the ones who never fail. Of course not. They're the ones who learn from failure faster.
And use that feedback to adjust.
To adjust their approach, yeah.
Yeah.
So reframing failure isn't just some mental trick. It's presented as a critical skill for anyone serious about growth. It takes away that debilitating emotional sting and lets you look at it objectively.
Okay, so defining the mindset, breaking down these 5 components, reframing failure as feedback. This is all great conceptually, but, if someone's listening right now, maybe feeling a bit overwhelmed, maybe struggling with that self-doubt,
Yeah.
how does this coach suggest they actually start? What's the first step?
Their advice is very grounded, very practical. It boils down to start incredibly small,
Small.
super small. The goal is to build momentum and, crucially, prove to yourself that change is even possible.
They use that analogy of training a muscle, right? You don't walk into the gym on day 1 and try to lift the absolute heaviest weight.
Of course not. You'd hurt yourself.
You start light, you build strength, you increase it gradually.
And the mind, they argue, works much the same way. So the specific recommendation is often to win the first hour of your day.
Win the first hour.
Yeah, they outline this flexible structure, sometimes called the power hour. It's designed purely to build small, consistent wins right at the start.
Okay, so what does that look like, this power hour?
Well, it often includes things like dedicated time for movement or exercise, maybe reading something inspiring or educational.
The personal growth books or biographies.
Exactly. Maybe a short period for journaling, focusing specifically on gratitude and your goals for the day.
Yeah.
Even something as simple as making your bed properly.
Making your bed, that sounds almost trivial.
It does sound simple,
Yeah.
yeah. But the coach really emphasizes the psychological power behind it, starting your day by accomplishing tasks, even tiny ones.
So the principle is that discipline and success in one small area, it kind of spills over.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Tends to spill over into other areas by
Yeah.
deliberately creating that structure and getting those small victories first thing.
You set a positive tone.
You set a positive tone, you build a sense of agency, and that carries into the rest of your day. It starts to rewire that internal narrative away from I can't and towards, okay, I can. I did that small thing. What's next?
And, okay, this is where it gets really interesting for me because it moves beyond just our internal habits. The coach puts significant emphasis on the power of our environment.
Oh, hugely. They argue, quite compellingly, that your environment is constantly shaping your mindset, often
Yeah.
completely subconsciously.
The people you spend time with,
The information you consume, news, social media,
the
and
physical spaces you're in.
all of it. It all matters.
So the idea is if your environment is, say, filled with negativity or scarcity thinking, or maybe just a lack of ambition, it's incredibly difficult to cultivate your own powerful mindset focused on growth and possibility.
It's like swimming upstream, isn't it?
Yeah. But conversely, if you surround yourself with people who are learning, who are challenging themselves, who operate with a growth mindset,
It can dramatically accelerate your own development. You're creating this positive feedback loop with the world around you.
so sometimes maybe the biggest mindset shift doesn't come from forcing yourself internally, but from intentionally changing who you hang out with or what you let into your head.
That's a key point they make. And it raises an important question, obviously, for listeners. What if you can't easily change your environment? Maybe family or a work situation.
Right, that's a real constraint for many people.
The coach acknowledges this. And the advice then is to focus on creating microenvironments that you can control.
Microenvironments, like what?
Like your morning routine. We just talked about that. The books you choose to read. The specific communities, maybe online or offline, that you engage with. And consciously managing your exposure to negativity Limiting certain news sources or social media feeds, perhaps.
That feels practical, taking control where you can.
Exactly. And underlying all of these components, the reframing, the small actions, the environment, the coach drives home one final, absolutely non-negotiable point.
Which is,
Your mindset is fundamentally your responsibility.
no one else can do it for you.
Nope. It's not something someone else can fix or just give to you.
Hmm.
It requires conscious effort. It requires deliberate practice, constant vigilance even.
It's something you have to actively cultivate and protect, like you would your physical health.
Precisely.
Okay, so if we look back at this deep dive then, we've explored this coach's definition, mindset, as the belief in your ability to create your reality.
And why they see it as primary before strategy.
Right. Then the 5 key components they identify: clarity, growth, emotional discipline, consistency, and gratitude.
We touched on reframing failure, seeing it as feedback, as data.
Yeah, and the power of starting incredibly small. Deliberate actions like that power hour idea to build momentum.
And the crucial role of your environment, both macro and micro, and how to manage it.
And finally, that ultimate truth. Cultivating your mindset is a personal responsibility.
I think the most powerful takeaway from this source, really, and something the coach says again and again in different ways, is that your mindset isn't just, a helpful tool.
It's more than that.
It is the absolute bedrock, the foundation upon which your entire future is built.
And that sort of counterintuitive insight that follows from that is that confidence doesn't just magically appear before you act.
No waiting around for it.
Confidence is built. It's
Wow.
built through consistent, deliberate action. You prove your capability to yourself by actually doing things.
Yeah. And this coach leaves us with a thought that really ties it all together, I think, which is that you are inherently far more powerful than you probably realize right now.
We all are.
But that potential, it stays locked away until you truly believe in your capacity to access it and direct it.
So, okay, bringing this right back to you, the listener, as you're sitting with all this.
Right.
If building confidence, if rewiring that internal narrative really comes from consistent action,
For doing.
what is one incredibly small, deliberate step, just one thing you could take today and commit to doing consistently, that would start to prove to yourself just how powerful you really are?